And welcome to this Friday edition of America Talks Live. You just heard Kellyanne Conway. She's, of course, the counselor to President Trump, White House counselor to President Trump, addressing reports that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is facing arrest and extradition here to the United States. Now, that's according to language discovered in an unrelated court filing yesterday. Reports indicate that federal prosecutors had hoped to keep the Assange indictment secret, quote, due to the sophistication of the defendant and the publicity surrounding the case, and so that Assange could, quote, no longer evade or avoid arrest and extradition. Now, Assange has been a key figure in the ongoing investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. Assange's U.S. attorney said in a statement, quote, the news that criminal charges have apparently been filed against Mr. Assange is even more troubling than the haphazard manner in which that information had been revealed. And again, that information was discovered because it had been inadvertently made public in an unrelated court filing. Some sharp-eyed analysts, reporters, and people out there on the web found it. And that's how we found out that Julian Assange is most likely facing charges from the U.S. Department of Justice. For more on this, let's bring in political strategist, best-selling author, and subject of the award-winning Netflix documentary, Get Me, Roger Stone. Of course, I'm talking about the man himself, Roger Stone. Roger, good to see you.
John, great to be with you.
All right, Roger, you've been in the news quite a bit lately. In fact, anytime Assange's name comes up, your name is often mentioned right before or right after Julian Assange's. The allegation is that you had advanced knowledge of the release of Hillary Clinton's emails, and the intent was to damage her in order to sway the election in favor of Donald Trump. However, you've said many, many times on this program and others that that was not the case. You did not have that information. So let's talk about Julian Assange first, then you, Roger. What do you expect the Department of Justice to charge Assange with? And do you think that those charges will affect you in any way?
Well, it's extraordinarily perplexing. Even the Justice Department under Barack Obama determined that if you prosecuted Julian Assange and WikiLeaks for the publication of classified documents, then you would also have to charge the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and so on. Right now, recently at least, there was this movie, The Post, celebrating the Washington Post's publication of the classified Pentagon Papers as an act of bravery and heroism. So I don't understand why the same standard is not held for Julian Assange. The assertion that Julian Assange is a Russian asset or a Russian spy is unproven in any U.S. court of law. It's an assertion of John Brennan and the same people who said Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, for example. So I really think that this is a political witch hunt, and it's a slippery slope for anyone who believes in a free press. When you start prosecuting journalists for publishing information that embarrasses the government, who's next? Is it the New York Times, the Washington Post? Maybe it's Newsmax. Who knows?
Yeah, no, Roger, you make a good point. Where does the journalism line end? And if he can be charged, who couldn't be? It's a very well taken point. All right, let's move on now, Roger, to your predicament. You said in the past that you expect to be charged by Robert Mueller. That has not happened yet. Look, it may not happen at all now that there's a new acting attorney general in Whitaker who doesn't seem to believe in the Mueller probe very much. Is there any update about your situation that you can share with us?
Well, what I said was I could be charged. More specifically, I said I might be framed or railroaded, but this I can tell you. I testified honestly before the House Intelligence Committee that I had no advance notice of the source or the content of any of the allegedly hacked or allegedly stolen emails that were published by Julian Assange. I said that I had a tip from a New York radio talk show host. He denied that. This week, I released all of the text messages proving beyond dispute that not only was he my source, but his argument that he couldn't have been my source telling me of Assange's significant holdings, which, by the way, Assange himself announced in June of 2016 on CNN and later in August on Fox, in late July, because he did not meet or interview Assange until late August. That is, of course, irrelevant because as the text messages my attorneys released, his source was not Julian Assange, but a woman lawyer working for WikiLeaks, who he describes as one of his oldest and closest friends. So these text messages, I think, demonstrate yet again that I have been truthful, and there is no evidence or person who can testify honestly that I had advance notice of the content or source of the WikiLeaks disclosures. Now, why did I do this, John? It's not self-aggrandizement. It's not about sucking up to the Trump campaign. I had a tip that the disclosures, whatever they were devastating and would hurt Hillary. I wanted to maximize media attention and voter attention to the disclosures when they came in October. And frankly, I think I effectively did that. That's called politics.
Yeah, I've always thought it was a matter of political strategies. I don't understand why any of this has been criminalized. All right, Roger. President Trump apparently answered written questions from the special counsel's team, but they haven't been submitted yet. Let's listen to what the president said.
I was asked a series of questions. I've answered them very easily, very easily. I'm sure they're tricked up because, they like to catch people. Gee, was the weather sunny or was it rainy? He said it may have been a good day. It was rainy. Therefore, he told a lie. He perjured himself. Okay, so you have to always be careful when you answer questions with people that probably have bad intentions.
So, Roger, the president addressed something that's been a concern of mine, answering Mueller's questions in any way. I've always said a sit-down interview is out of the question. Apparently, he and his legal team have answered them in writing. Do you still think he's walking into a perjury trap with those written answers? Should he have responded to Mueller at all? Roger, your opinion.
Well, one of those questions is, did you ever discuss the WikiLeaks disclosures with Roger Stone? I know the answer. It's no. I never discussed that with candidate Trump or President Trump. I never passed anything on to him because I had nothing from WikiLeaks or the Julian Assange or the Russians or Dr. Jerry Corsi or Guccifer 2.0 or Santa Claus, for that matter, to pass on. So I believe the president will answer these questions honestly. On the other hand, the questions which I read about in the New York Times seem so extraordinarily complex that I think the president's right to be hesitant. If you say the steak was medium rare and it turns out to have been well done, well, you perjured yourself.
Yeah. All right, Roger Stone. Always great to see you, Roger. Have a great weekend.
Great to be with you. Many thanks.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more breaking news coverage, exclusive interviews, and great videos, click over here to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And don't forget to download the free Newsmax TV app. Newsmax TV. It's real news for real people.